Coming back to today's topic is on burnout. Burnout is a word used in two categories. One, burnout through exercise. If somebody is exercising really hard, they will have muscle fatigue, they will have a burnout, and that takes time to recover. Similarly, burnout in general life is also very much visible through excessive work, excessive load, continuous. If you take a lot of responsibility continuously, or if you take responsibilities which is too demanding, and so there is something called stress and there is something called burnout. A chronic stress results into burnout. So there is a distinction between stress and burnout. We will discuss burnout today and try to get a framework going that if we ever experience burnout, how to come out of it. So what is burnout? How do you define burnout? Burnout is not like a sudden breakdown. It is more like a slow erosion. Last Monday, we discussed capacity and how we should build our capacity in all spheres of life. Our physical strength, our ability to digest things, even a simple increment in the amount of protein we take in our diet should be treated as capacity building. If I want to reach 100 grams of protein a day, you cannot switch from a certain amount of protein that you are taking into a very large amount suddenly. So there has to be a capacity building. Similarly, for exercise, there has to be capacity building. Any skill that you want to master, there is a decent level of capacity building that is required. There is no on and off switch for that. Whether it is wellness, whether it is with in all walks of life, capacity building is phenomena. And everything that we want to pursue, which is time consuming, which does not happen instantaneously, requires an approach where capacity building should be at the center of what we are trying to do. Now, if I'm building capacity steadily, that's a positive sign. But if there is a slow erosion of my capacity, we are trying to function in spite of an erosion in our capacity. So our demands are not coming down, but my capacity is going down, and that's an erosion of capacity. Then that phenomena over a longer term is called burnout. So burnout is not a sudden breakdown that you crash suddenly, but it is a slow erosion of capacity that we ignore because of circumstances or how we function, or the demands that are put to our body and mind. What is the short sign of breakdown? How do you see people who are losing interest, or if you find people tired or continuously tired? There are different angles through which we can dissect this idea of what is a burnout and how we experience burnout. We will come to this today. So, continuous erosion of capacity, that is burnout. Emotional capacity, physical capacity, and mental exhaustion. All three. If I'm getting exhausted emotionally, physically, or mentally, that will be categorized as burnout. You do not think of burnout only as mental exhaustion or physical exhaustion. Mental, physical, and emotional, all three aspects of our life will be impacted because of burnout. Burnout will be more than stress. It will be continuous exposure to stress. It will be more than tiredness, because from tiredness you can recover. If you have a good day's sleep, you can recover from tiredness. Burnout, you cannot recover from just one good session of sleep. Like you have one good weekend where you recharge your batteries and you're back on track. Burnout is much more deeper and much more chronic. It will not be a phase that you go through. It will be a prolonged period of disturbance or exhaustion. The thing that we need to be mindful of is where the boundary of stress is finishing and the boundary of burnout is starting. This bridge between stress and burnout is something that we need to be mindful of. Burnout needs to be understood and seen from a distance, Because sometimes when we are experiencing burnout, there is a tendency to categorize burnout as laziness. So when we are unmindful of the erosion of capacity that is happening within me, I tend to categorize my ability to produce the same output that I could earlier as laziness or being less focused or some other word I will use, which will be self depreciating, not but not a burnout. So, burnout is neither laziness nor a lack of desire, nor, sorry. So, burnout is an extended exposure to stress where simple acts of sleep or rest will not help me recover. That's any remarks or anybody has any inputs or have anybody in the group has experienced burnout. Now, there are three stages actually in which this whole burnout phenomena happens. First phase is called the overdrive phase, where you have high output, you have high responsibility, and you ignore fatigue. Your body allows you some degree of overusage. So that's the period where you are trying to get to a destination. You are putting all the hard labor there without considering that you are being utilized more than what you should. Overdrive phase is the technical term for the phase where you have a high output, high responsibilities, the capacity to ignore fatigue. You cannot ignore fatigue if you do not have the capacity to ignore it. There is a phase in our life, and our bodies are prepared to ignore fatigue for a while. And that phase is where we are pushing our hardest. Then comes the survival phase where there is a drop in energy. Because there is a drop in energy, I'm trying to maximize my effort to match the drop in energy so that my output levels are maintained. This phase results into what you call emotional numbness, because then you are only concerned with the output and you are trying really hard to match your output levels regardless of drop in energy. This is what you call survival mode. A very simple example I will give. So, someone who is experiencing burnout will not be able to s- feel fresh even after, say, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. So, they sleep, they get up, but they are tired, or they are sleepy, or they are barely focused as they are getting up. It is say 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning, and that should be the peak time for them to work with maximum amount of focus, feeling tired or sluggish. Now, because it is their prime working hour, they take a coffee shot, they energize their mind through that coffee shot so that the output does not fall right at the start of the day. The impact of coffee stays with them for 2, 3 hours. And again, there is a demand by the body to provide some kind of stimulant because there is a drop in energy again when the impact of coffee weighs down. You again indulge in some more coffee so that you can maintain your energy levels. So this, I'm taking coffee as an example. You could replace coffee with any other stimulant. You have slept enough but woken up tired. To mitigate that lack of energy in your peak working hours, you have to provide yourself stimulant. So this is what you call the survival phase. And too much exposure to external stimulants makes you emotionally numb. This is the phase that points out that your burnout has already started. Then comes the depletion phase where you are physically exhausted. The degree of exhaustion has shifted. Your cynicism has set in. You have become more irritable as a human being. Plus, there is a detachment that has permeated your being where you are disconnected with what you are doing. You are neither motivated with what you want to achieve, plus you always feel that whatever you do is not good enough. Cynicism, hopelessness, disillusionment is the last stage of burnout, where you feel totally disconnected with what you were once quite motivated with. One is your upward curve, where you are high output individual with lots of responsibility, and your body is in a phase where you can ignore fatigue. Second is where you cannot ignore fatigue, and hence there is an energy drop, and that drop needs to be mitigated by external stimulants, resulting into emotional numbness. Third phase is the worst one, where you are your energy is totally depleted, and that depletion of energy results into disillusionment, cynicism, hopelessness, lack of motivation, etc. So this is the cycle through which a burnout gets reflected in our lives. Any questions, any comments, please? Burnout begins when effort that you are taking feels meaningless. This burnout can be in your job, can you be in your work life, can be in your arena where you are trying to build muscles or exercise. When your effort feels meaningless or stops having any meaningful contribution to your life, then that is the beginning burnout totally. People may identify depression as burnout or vice versa. Depression usually comes with an ability to not work at all. That struggle to work no longer remains. Depression is a stage beyond burnout actually. Burnout, you are still in a phase where you are struggling with yourself. Depression will be a stage where you have surrendered your struggle. Cynicism, detachment, hopelessness, these are all part of you not being there emotionally. Emotionally, when you are totally depleted, you feel you are in that burnout area, but that emotional struggle has not left you. That desire to feel energetic, that desire to find meaning in your work has not left you. But depression will be a stage where the desire to find meaning has also left. There's a distinction between depression and burnout. Any other comments? I responded to a comment by Chunilalji, where he's saying people may identify depression as burnout or vice versa. But they're very different. As long as there is a struggle, it's good for us, because mind or body wants something better. When the desire for betterment leaves you, that's a scary situation to be in, more scarier than burnout. Any other comments or questions on the idea of burnout, or if you have experienced or if you have seen anyone experiencing burnout? Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes. How we are defining burnout here is where you are continuously exposed to overwork. Continuously. What is happening? Let us take an example of exercise. If I want to build muscles, I want to add stress to my muscle. Then the muscle fibers have a micro rupture, and that rupture demands more nutrition from the body. When the body supplies nutrition to those ruptures, the muscle grows. Now, if I have ruptured my muscle to a degree where it demands a day's rest, and then only I can come back to a workout, that's the demand of the body. Now, if I exercise on a day when I should have rested, I have those micro tears already present in my muscle, and without recovery, I am pushing it further. Another day, like the third day, without fully getting recovered, I'm pushing it again. So
Yeah.
I'm continuously rupturing the muscle without allowing it to get
Fitness.
replenished. Rupture, rest, recovery, growth. Rupture, rest, recovery, growth. If this pattern gets disturbed for a prolonged period of time, then I will have injury because my muscles have not recovered. Now, this injury is in physical terms, I can see there's an injury because my muscles will complain. This injury at a psychological or a mental level is what you call burnout. The idea is that if I am pushing myself either physically, emotionally, or mentally, and I'm not allowing myself time to recover, then it becomes challenging for me. My body and my mind both allows a degree of overusage because that's how we express motivation. That's how we go beyond ourselves to achieve something.
That's
However,
why we need to sleep at least 5 to 6. Actually, when we are sleeping, our body is working.
sleep becomes essential part of me avoiding a burnout. When I compromise sleep over a prolonged period of time, then I'm pushing myself towards a burnout way more quickly. Then compromising sleep is one of the major contributors towards burnout. What are the signs of burnout? How do you know you're moving towards burnout? One, you know there is increased absence from whatever you have burnt out from. So if you have burnt out from over exercising, you will not be able to show up for exercise. If you are tired with your work, you will not be able to be present physically for your work, or even if you are present physically, mentally you are totally absent. So absenteeism increases in burnout. Then there is a disengagement that we have talked about, that whatever you are doing, you are feeling that you are not motivated enough to do that. Lack of purpose or understanding of purpose goes away when you have burnout. Exhaustion, physical exhaustion, is a real thing that finds an expression when you have burnt out completely. How do you know that you are exhausted and not lazy? At hours when people should be working, you feel exhausted. Early morning, you have woken up from rest, you are still exhausted. Every day you wake up, you feel that you are tired. More often than not, you are yawning. While you are driving, you are totally exhausted. These are real signs of exhaustion. When you meet someone, you lose interest in that meeting and you feel as if you could go and sleep for 15 minutes. That will be a better utilization of time. So exhaustion is real. It does express itself through body. Then another way you will see those who are in that burnout zone, they make mistakes more than average, and their propensity to meet accidents or be in situations where there is damage to body or material things, or their capacity to forget things keep increasing. So increased mistakes, increased forgetfulness, or increased accidents are clear signs of burnout. Now, you can say that if I'm unmindful, then also there is a tendency to increase in mistakes, or increase in forgetfulness, or increase in accidents. So there is a fine line between being unmindful and being burnt out and expressing these three. If you are making mistakes or you are prone to accidents, and it is combined with exhaustion, then you know why you are making those mistakes or why you are becoming more prone to accidents. The reason behind is not unmindfulness, the reason behind is exhaustion. So exhaustion can lead to mistakes, exhaustion can lead to accidents. Similarly, unmindfulness can also lead to mistakes and accidents. So you must understand which one is what. So as a human being, we have to be conscious of our own behavior even when we are burnt out, so that we can do a good analysis of our situation. So exhaustion leading to mistakes or exhaustion leading to accidents or forgetfulness, this combination is a short sign of burnout. Withdrawal or isolation, because you do not want to engage with people or your team or your work. You want to withdraw from all social engagements. That is also a sign of burnout, because naturally human beings want to relate to other human beings. You can be an introvert or an extrovert, that's different. But withdrawing from people or withdrawing from society at large is a different feeling altogether. So if you are into a withdrawal mode or an isolation mode, try and understand why you are getting there. Is it because you are disinterested in people, or because you lack the capacity to engage with people because of exhaustion? You would rather sleep rather than spend time, and that's why you are withdrawing from people. So that is something to be understood. Lastly, if you are becoming more and more sensitive, a little comment can agitate you. We are losing your temper without any reason, or you are yelling at people whom you have never yelled at. So if you are getting emotionally sensitive, you are expressing your irritability without any filter, then that becomes a sign of burnout. So these are 6 different signs of burnout in daily life. Questions, comments, anything, please. So we have highlighted physical signs of exhaustion, physical signs of workout, that burnout, that there will be fatigue, there will be exhaustion. There are other things that can happen. Because of constant fatigue, you may fall ill frequently, because persistent fatigue leads to lowered immunity. Lowered immunity will lead to you falling sick more frequently than your normal or your usual self. There can be constant headaches, cramps, muscle pain, and there can be stiffness which is more than usual. There will be lack of appetite, or there will be a disturbed appetite. Sometimes you will feel like eating a lot, and sometimes you will not feel eating at all. And there will be sleep disturbances, where when you crash out like you will never wake up, and when you cannot sleep, you just cannot sleep. Sleep and appetite disturbances also there. These are signs that you are physically exhausted, prone to burnout. Emotional signs, that you will have self doubt, that you feel that you have not achieved enough. Sometimes you feel like a failure. There can be hopelessness. There can be feeling of being trapped. There can be feeling of mundaneness, that you are repeating same things over and over again. There can be definite loss of satisfaction with how your life has turned out to be. So these are emotional signs of a burnout. And then there is behavioral signs, where you are trying to withdraw from responsibilities. You are trying to isolate yourself from the world. You have emotional outbursts, overly rely on food to manage your emotions, or rely on alcohol or other substances. These stimulants go beyond providing you energy, they help you manage your emotions. There is a tendency to avoid responsibility. You know you have work, but you do not want to do right now. You will sit on it till the last moment, procrastinate. So these are all the signs of a burnout. What is important is to understand what is all these things that I have mentioned can happen for other reasons also. But a combination of these things repeated, do check yourself for a burnout. Okay. Now, how do you address burnout? That's the next question. Now, I'll just, so burnout is, if you had, say, 30-day programs for a burnout recovery, you need a slightly longer duration, ideally 3 to 4 weeks. So this is like a 30-day framework that I'm sharing with you. The first step is where you stop the decline. You don't want to improve much. You just want to stop further further loss of energy, further agitation of nervous system. You want to reduce that. So there is the focus for the first 7 days or the first phase of this framework should be on contentment and not any kind of improvement. So how do you regulate your nervous system, or how do you bring about contentment? If you can sleep properly at fixed timings. So sleep as the primary mover for the first 7 to 10 days. You're not trying to improve, just trying to stop the decline. Very mild degree of exercise, 15 to 20 minutes a day. Very small, slow degree of exercise where exercise itself is not causing you to get tired. So a low degree, 15 to 20 minutes of yoga or a walk, just that. Add that to your cycle. Then 3 regular meals. You do not want to skip meals, and you do not want to eat in a way that you are in a hurry. You will sit down properly, have 3 meals, feel good about the food that you have had. There should be protein, fiber, carbohydrate, fat, 3 complete meals. And what you will avoid is grazing. You will try not to rely on food to manage your emotion. So you want to add that layer of discipline vis-a-vis food. So no skipping meals, no aggressive dieting for the first 7 days. You are just trying to eat full and feel satisfied, because the engagement with food also goes away when you are experiencing a lot of stress or a lot of burnout. And you will try to bring a certain degree of mm, because we are all output oriented in modern world, you will bring one element, that this is one task that needs to be mitigated in the day, and only one task. You will try not to add more responsibility to yourself. Try to contain that responsibility. If you are in a scenario where you are not in control of what tasks you have to do, then at least make a plan of the things that you want to do the next day, and try and stick to that plan with minimum effort. Try not to add more responsibilities. If possible, reduce your responsibilities for the first 7 to 10 days. To push through anything, you're trying to contain yourself, and you express your contentment by either increasing the time you are sleeping or sleep and wake at the fixed timing. So you're respecting your sleep hours. You are trying to fulfill your desire to eat. You are feeding yourself good quality food 3 times a day, and you are eating properly. You're not rushing through your meals. You're not standing and finishing your meal. Plus, you are giving your body some movement, but only to a degree where you don't get exhausted. So that's what. The second is to build rhythm and capacity. It could be your day 8 to day 15, for example, where you are trying to create rituals in your day. You will wake up, freshen up, meditate, and read a book or write a few lines for yourself. You want to have a breakfast at a certain time. So you have a morning ritual, and you keep repeating that ritual so that you feel satisfied with what you have done. This phase is where you make promises to yourself that these are the things that I want to do in a day for my well being. And you want to keep those promises. So don't make big promises, but do commit to some activity that will bring a rhythm to your morning, bring a rhythm to your evening, even bring a rhythm to your work life. Here, you want to reduce cognitive load as well. Cognitive load, how do you reduce? You prepare your meals, like you decide what you are going to eat. Either you request people that these are the things that you want to eat and these are the hours, and somebody provides you that. You don't want to get into decision making. Small decisions that can be delegated to others, you do that, or small decisions that can be repeated. Pre-plan those decisions: what to wear, what time to go out, what meals to have. These are things where you want to reduce your choices and make these things repetitive. Another very important way to reduce cognitive load is your engagement with phone needs to reduce. It has to be minimum at this hour. Many a times we are burning out faster than usual because of constantly scrolling or constantly waiting for notifications. Constant engagement with phone is also contributing to cognitive decline, which results into faster burnout. So you want to arrest that. And then you are trying to manage your work to say one block of time you give challenging work. Rest of the time you should have planned but not so challenging work. So that's another way to regulate your life. And then comes meaningful effort. That's the third step where you are trying to get into a phase where you are reconnecting with work. You have recovered, you have formed a rhythm, and you are trying to do something that you like. You try to do something where you find meaning and purpose, and you pick up activities that help you feel. This is where you can find meaning in your work, well and good. Otherwise, you can find meaning through other activities. Some people find meaning by writing, some people find meaning by helping others, some people find meaning in gardening. But you choose activities that you find meaningful. If you find meaning in your work, that is great. If you do not find meaning in your work yet, then you add meaning through activities where you are contributing either to the environment, to your friends, or to society at large. Finally, you come to a stage where you have reduced your workload, understood how repetitive things can be delegated or organized better, and then you are trying to find meaning, and you keep repeating this whole process for the last phase as well, so that you are established in it. First week is of contentment, second week is developing patterns, third week is to find meaning, and fourth week is to repeat what you have done so far. This is a framework, and if you go through it seriously, you will be in a position to overcome burnout. That is why I'm saying this is more than getting 2 days off, going for a vacation, or catching up with your sleep. Burnout is lot more serious and requires lot more effort to come out. Any questions, comments, please, on burnout? Do you think it is practical in this modern life where we are so busy and where we are forced to work? If you are in a job, you really don't have control over how much work you do. So, do you think it is manageable or even possible to take an attempt towards managing burnout, or do you just submit to it? My idea is that no matter where you are placed in life, if you find that your life has become mundane, meaningless, or you are always exhausted, that is a pointer towards how we are living our life. And we should do whatever we can to bring back energy and purpose into our lives. Lot of things to bring about change. And the bigger the change I want to bring about, more difficult it becomes. Small changes in daily routine and practices in how we eat, how we sleep, how we move can help us turn around a situation where we are exhausted and our capacity is depleting. Instead of thinking of a revolution, we must think of incremental changes in our behavior that can protect us from exhaustion. Chunilalji saying, if you feel that you are like feeling of how long you have to do is a sign that you are getting bored with what you're doing. The moment how long that question comes in, you have fallen behind a little. Thank you everyone for joining in. That's all for today. I hope I could bring
Thank
your
you.
attention a little bit to the idea of burnout. There are no easy solutions to it. If we are aware of a problem, then that problem can be handled at a personal level. There are no generic solutions to burnout. Everybody's burnout is different and they are placed in life very differently. So the solutions come from within. Our task is to understand the idea of burnout so that we can check with ourselves whether we are experiencing it, or if we see someone experiencing it, we can knock them on the head and say, maybe it's a time to step back. So thank you everyone for joining in. Thank
Very
you.
nice
Thank you,
discussion.
sir.
Thank you.